So thank you very much. As mentioned, I'm a proud member of the 2016 cohort. Just one word about that. I mean, it's a great experience. The diversity, getting out of your own bubble, learning other industries, it's a great thing, and it helped me a lot also in my development as an executive. So today, however, I would like to talk about my other passion, which is renewable energies. A quick word about me. In fact, when I did this presentation, I found out it's already 20 years that I'm renewable. So I had my first project in Portugal in 1998. So I'm getting old now. But it's always has been my passion. I'm a mechanical engineer on background, and together with the EMBA, I had a great tool set to develop the company Senvion, which was before Repower Systems, one of the top 10 wind turbine manufacturers in the world. And I started here in Canada in 2010, and we developed the market, installed about 10% of all wind turbines in Canada in 26 different projects from Quebec, Ontario to British Columbia. And yes, since last year I'm an independent consultant and working with executives and startups. So, renewable energies are a game changer, and that is particularly true for developing countries. Today, there are still 1.5 billion people who have no access to energy or electricity on a continuous basis. And having a solar panel or wind power available changes the lives of people in a very radical manner. So, having access to power allows you to study after the sun goes down, develops communities. Their wind turbines can power desalination units, so they can make out of seawater fresh water for providing drinking water to communities. There are projects where we use cow dung in order to produce biogas, which helps to fuel the stoves of people. Instead of running around finding wood to burn, they just can stay at home and use this energy for cooking. So there's a lot of opportunities how renewables can really change the game. Nevertheless, we don't have to go so far. Renewable energies are really changing our lives already here today. So Canada is a great example. Its wind power installation has grown particularly over the last decade. Today, Canada is the 8th largest power of renewables in wind in the world, with about 12,000 megawatts of installed power. But maybe I should say it's 6,000 wind turbines, so just to get an idea. So if you look south the border, in US, we had 85 gigawatts or 85,000 megawatts, which is 52,000 wind turbines. So I think there's still a way to go, but renewable energy has become a reality for all of us. And I think it's important that we remind us why we do this. Of course, it's about the climate change that we experience each year even more, but it's also about health. It's about independence, economic growth. So let me just explain quickly. Health, Ontario in 2012 decided to really completely phase out all coal-fired plants. And this has improved the quality, the air quality tremendously. So if you use renewable energies, it's a part of helping the environment and also our air cleanness. Independence, power. Why should we go abroad and bring in fuels and things from abroad if everything is here at home? Look at Quebec. We have one of the best wind regimes in North America. So, you know, in the future, maybe we can transfer this wind energy from the Gaspésie or all around us into our vehicles, electric vehicles in the future. That's one of the big projects here in Quebec. So I hope we can achieve that. But more and more, it's also about the economy. And let me explain that, why this is true. If you see the development of cost for renewable energies, in particular wind power and photovoltaic solar power, they have decreased tremendously. On a global basis, 73%. And that is the game changer. So when you had maybe a few years back discussions about, does it make sense? It's very expensive. Should we do that? Today, it's really a no-brainer because look at the cost. The costs are if you look at today's competition between the energies, they are becoming more and more competitive. So wind and solar power, if you look at the graph, the bluish area is the cost of fossil fuels, the range of fossil fuels on a global basis. And if you now look at the yellow, the first yellow and the very last bar there, the very last one, that's the wind, onshore wind. And you see that they even go on the lowest part of the cost range. What means basically that this is even more cost efficient than fossil fuels today. And that is a huge effort that has been developed over the last years. It's part of the technology. It's part of improving wind turbines, solar panels becoming cheaper, but also technology has advanced. And all of this now makes renewables more competitive. Renewables are also a huge motor for jobs. We shouldn't underestimate that. About 3 million people today work in the solar industry. More than 1 million work in wind power. So it's about 10 million people in total globally that work today in renewables, and it will be for sure more, because the development on a global base is really increasing. And let's not forget who these people are, and this is an example from a wind farm here in Quebec. So imagine somebody living, for example, in Gaspésie and has a mechanical background or is an electrician. They can become a wind turbine technician, and they can work on those wind farms for the next 20, 25, 30 years, because that's the lifetime of those projects, and during that time they can contribute. So in the US, the technicians, wind turbine technician, and also installers for solar power are the highest growth rate in the industry in the United States. And also, it's a great area for veterans to find employment. Looking a bit now what's missing to make those renewables a real success. And has always been a lot of criticism about renewables because, well, what happens if there's no sun? What happens if there's no wind? That's right. But this is now changing. We are closing this gap thanks to the development of storage technology. And what's coming here, you see in the picture, that's a wind farm combined with a huge battery storage in southern Australia, an example together with Tesla. And this project shows that you can produce continuously energy and shift the moment of production to the moment of demand. And that is, of course, what will help to make renewables even more popular. And the other aspect is that technology today is becoming much more smarter. So, you know, the wind farm, each single turbine is kind of listening to each other and optimizing the output of the whole wind farm. Before it was just each single turbines producing as much as you can. Now they're working in unison. It's in just a new development. A lot of information. However, I also want to encourage you maybe to think about how life could be in 20 years from now. How would a typical day look like? Imagine you go to your office in the morning, on Monday morning. You go into your driverless electrical vehicle that is standing already there, waiting for you, and you drive to your office. And the offices might look different. There are a lot of projects going on these days with green roofs, with photovoltaic included in the facades of the building. So basically, with that, the whole building becomes a power producer. So you could charge your electrical vehicle directly from the energy that the building produces. And of course have a much more pleasant environment because the air is cleaner and it's renewable. So this is just, of course, a moment to imagine. And by the way, maybe your smartphone also tells you, hey, I started the washing machine that you left in the morning because now the power is free. You are at peak at midday, solar power is its peak. You don't pay anything, so that's when you start your appliances at home, which is done by the smart technology at home. So all of that will become reality. I hope it will become reality. But in the end, If and how quick this becomes a reality, it really depends on all of us. And that is in our decisions. So just to finish this presentation, I would like you to think about what can you do to support this greener vision of the future. And a few ideas. It's about how we invest our money. There are green funds today that support development of renewable projects, but also social initiatives, sustainability. So this is one part. Also, how are you traveling to work? Maybe in the next car that you're buying it will be electric vehicle or a hybrid. This could be. It's according to the experts, it's in 2022 when the break-even will be between the cost between electric vehicles and the combustion engine. So maybe if your car makes it until then, your next could be electric vehicle and be even more cheaper. Because in the end, of course, the fuel, electricity, is much cheaper than what we pay today at the pump. And how you live? Well, how you travel? Look, for example, at Norway. Norway has pledged that by 2040, each of their domestic flights will be based on electric propulsion. So in Norway, when you take a plane in 2040 and later, you probably don't pollute the environment anymore because it's completely electric. So all of these things and pledges and decisions will shape our future, and I hope that you will support this greener future altogether. Thank you.
Thank you, Helmut. Question, ladies and gentlemen?
Hi, Alex John, class of 2016. I have a question. Do you believe that you certainly heard about Elon Musk roof tiles power cells? Do you think that represents a threat to, for example, Hydro-Quebec's business model in long term?
Sorry, of the business model of the...
Hydro-Quebec?
Of Hydro-Quebec's business model?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we tried many times to convince our cher collègue, the Hydro-Quebec, that diversity is a big plus. And of course, we know that Quebec has built its power base on hydro, which is great, which makes a great battery for any kind of renewables of wind. So that's why the combination is great. And in fact, it's a huge opportunity. So the business model of the future could be that they really would sell this energy, the combination of wind and hydro, and they sell it into the US, where people are asking for renewable energy. In fact, they're paying more. The states encourage them or give quota and targets, and people paying more in order to get renewables. So there's a huge opportunity for not only Hydro-Quebec, but Canada to export renewable energies into the US. And in fact, some of the utilities are now building transmission lines to do that. So I would have only wished that we would have started earlier so we could already export more.
Class of EMBA, alumni, MBA students, future EMBA. No more questions? Alors, on applaudit encore, Helmut.